Dusty, it's Brian Kenny. A pleasure to have you here on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, man, no problem.
You tell me, Crossroads, first of all, the Robert Johnson song. Is there a message? I know you're a worldly fellow. Where did Crossroads come from?
Yeah, there's always a message. And the message is all my life I've been at a crossroads. You know, got to make one decision or another one. And I actually went to the Crossroads down in Mississippi with Elvin Bishop visiting Morgan Freeman's place, and went to the Crossroads, got out of the car, and imagine Robert Johnson doing the devil down there. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
I can hear it playing in the background. Yeah. We've been talking a lot about the Dodgers recently. We lost Davey Lopes a few weeks back. We had Ron Say on. So just tell me, it does trigger memories of those great Dodger clubs. What do you remember best, and what do you try to get in the book on that?
Well, what I remember best is the camaraderie that we had, and the feeling that we went out there every day and we were going to win. Not a chance to win, but we had a serious attitude. A lot of people didn't like us. We knew it. I didn't like the Dodgers when I was playing on the Braves, but they still found a way to beat us all the time. And that's what I remember most. It was really heartbreaking to go to David Lopes' funeral, a few weeks ago, because you realize your own, that death is right around the corner from you. That's a song by Tupac. It's a death around the corner, and it really is. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because I don't want to, to be gone. Like half my friends are checking out, and then all of a sudden somebody writes a book and it's not right. And I mean, just the other day, I was thinking about Bobby Cox and Ted Turner. And it was almost like they planned to leave together, And boy, it's death is closing in on us, but you have to continue to live your life, but also try to leave an impact on your family and people around the world, because there's a lot of people that need hope.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to convey, in the book. It hadn't been easy, but life's been good, and everything was for a point and a purpose. And the point and purpose was at the end to try to go to heaven.
Yeah. Nice. You've had a rich life. When you were playing, again, you were a hell of a player. Again, people were young, was like, Dusty could really play. At what point, or did you ever think you'd be a manager? Like, when did that ever start to occur to you, if at all?
Never.
Really?
And I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to manage. I didn't want anything to do with the game at the end there. But Al Rosen is the one that kind of handpicked me, to be a future coach and manager. And he told me it would take 5 years to get the player out of me. And it was 5 years and a day until I was named, the manager. And basically, one of the crossroads that happened in my life early was the fact that my parents got divorced, which kind of forced me at the time, being the oldest of five, to sign a professional contract out of high school, which my dad was totally against. And then in my own situation, I got divorced and I was at a crossroads. I didn't know what to do. And that's why, I was a broker. For a while I passed the Series 6, Series 22, and I was taking the Series 7. Then the stock market crashed 87, and I was like, well, hey man, it's the wrong time to get into the market. I wanted to move back to Northern California. And I was at a meeting at the winter meetings, and Al Campanis, I'm not Al Campanis, after Al said, what he said about, we weren't qualified for upper management jobs. And then Al Rosen picked me, and he says, hey man, I think you'd be a fine manager. And then I went to school. Well, I call it school, with excuse me, with Al Addles on coaching. And Bill Walsh had really helped me in my coaching career early.
Wow. Okay. From other sports. What was it like? Again, I want to jump in here. All right, so you start managing. It was the same year Barry Bonds arrives, correct? So now, Barry, what was it like? Because we hear so much about Barry. What was it like managing Barry Bonds?
Well, hey, man, you just let Barry Bonds play. Barry's like a thoroughbred. I held Barry the day he was born almost. And my dad was Bobby Bonds' Little League coach. And Bobby was one of my coaches. So it was kind of like a family reunion. Sometimes Barry was tough to manage, but all superstars and all racehorses, sometimes they don't want to be ridden. You just have to let them play, and then they'll come back in when when it's time to eat or when they're hungry.
All right, Jeff Kent goes into the Hall of Fame this summer, Dusty. So what is that? What was that like? That whole scene that we hear about?
Well, it happened. I just told him, hey, man, I told him, go on the inside, because brothers fight. I've never been on a really good team that didn't have some kind of skirmish, but just don't do it out in the public. But, you're not caring about that, when tempers flare. And so, they made up, we won, which was the objective. And I told them both that they were similar in a lot of ways. I mean, they were different, but they were similar. Yeah. And they kind of remind me of Tony Curtis and Sidney Poitier back in the movies, back in the days when they were handcuffed together, and if one went over the cliff, the other one went over the cliff. So it was a pleasure having both of them, because what Barry didn't drive in, Jeff drove in, and Jeff was our clutch man on that team. I mean, Barry was the best player by far, but Jeff Kent was a clutch man.
This year on the Veterans Committee for the Hall of Fame, speaking of the Hall of Fame, managers and executives, you should be on that ballot. You're a pretty good shot. You have any thoughts on that? Do you give any thought to that, Dusty?
Not really. I don't give, a lot of other people, talk to me about it. I don't give a whole bunch of thought to that, just simply because, when it comes, it comes. And, you sort of guard yourself. You don't want to be disappointed.
Right.
And when I saw Bill Belichick get denied, I was like, man, anybody can get denied.
Yeah, I don't expect that. But you have to guard yourself against that. But Dusty, we'll look forward to the book coming out again June 9th, and it should be fascinating. You have a full, rich life and so much ahead. Dusty, great having you on here. We'd love to talk to you again, and good luck with the release of the book.
All right, thank you, man. Hey, man, that suit is clean. You're looking good, bro.
Thank you, Dusty. Al Leiter doesn't compliment me at all. Do you realize that? Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you, Dusty.